Going to be talking about the markets, give you guys updates, tell you what levels matter today if you're day trading ES or NQ. Probably do some Q&A as the market kind of slows down and potentially gets boring. As a lot of you know, if you've been following, if you've been following the markets, give me a second really quick. My tabs just crashed for a second. Okay, we are still here and we are still live. Just wanted to make sure I still had everything. Okay. So yeah, if you've been following the markets, you know that last night Trump kind of called for a 2 week ceasefire in the Iran war news, which is obviously big news, and the markets responded accordingly. Just looking here at, we have MES up, but we'll just switch that over to ES really quick. Looking over here, last night, clearly we had a nice big move up. Only thing that concerns me about that is now, since then, we've kind of just been slowing down our momentum and consolidating a lot. Um, Not really a move to the downside, still slightly pushing up with each kind of push we do here on larger time frames. But now we're back down at this same area we were um, early this morning in the overnight session. Um, we do have a lot of volume right here at this 9:30 candle, which is working on closing in about 8 minutes. We have our first 5 minute candle that closed. Tons of volume. I would honestly say that's a little more selling pressure than we do have buying pressure right now. But again, it's early on in the markets. We're gonna have to wait and see how things kind of play out here. I did take a trade last night to catch most of this long here off the Trump news, the Trump tweet about the ceasefire. It was about an $1,800 trade, which was really nice. And those right now, those news trades are the best trades. If you can catch something that Trump is talking about or going to be talking about, and you have pretty high conviction on which direction that news is going to force the markets, those trades have been playing out great. A lot of this stuff is pretty clear. Nobody knew if there was a ceasefire or any kind of momentum with war news that the uh, the markets were going to rip a little bit, and that's what happened. So I'm expecting a little bit of the same in today's session, especially as people start to become more aware and maybe start to believe a little more that this ceasefire is going to continue. Because it's a two week temporary ceasefire, but I mean, we had the little pause in bombings before, and that did result in some movement in the market, but realistically, that that was kind of short lived because markets need to uh, react to that as we of course went back and got closer to putting boots on the ground and got closer to actually invading into Iran. So yeah, for anybody tuning in, if you are not on the YouTube live session, there is probably a good chance I will not see your comment. Not saying I definitely won't, just a lot harder to manage all the platforms and see chats on all the platforms. But YouTube, I have up all the time. So if you have a question you want answered, you had a comment, anything like that, want to know something about how we're reading the market or what our levels are, drop them in the YouTube chat. I will be sure to see them there and I will be sure to answer them. So, just getting us started here. Let me take a look at what we got going on. So ES showing a little bit of down movement here. Let's go to NQ, see how tech's doing. Pretty much the same. Actually getting we're on the 5 minute here. Got two sell signals right here. Yeah, that would have been a good sell with this massive pull down we're having. I mean, look at this 15 minute on NQ right here. 5 minutes left before it closes, and we're below all of these supports that algorithm had fired off and marked here. So that is pretty interesting. Um, After this big move up after hours off the Iran war news, now we're pulling back down. So I'm going to go ahead and look at all of my news outlets here. Yeah, nothing nothing's coming up that's significant news. So we're just gonna keep an eye on this. There's some news that the Pakistani Prime Minister has said that both Iran and the U.S. are supposed to be meeting somewhere, potentially in Pakistan, to discuss the ceasefire and the conditions of hopefully the war ending. Unfortunately, my outlook on this is that I don't see this being a quickly ended thing. We're already progressing, a couple months into this. Iran has some terms and conditions they have laid out, their 10 terms from the original agreement that we sent over that the U.S. is just not going to agree to. Um, I think that's a pretty objective statement. Anybody would say that, no matter what side you're on. I know that Trump and the U.S. are not going to agree to those 10 terms. So without them agreeing to those 10 terms and them seeming to be kind of pretty steadfast on Iran agreeing to what we want, I just don't know how quickly we're going to meet in the middle and or one side give up completely. Because right now that's the path we're heading towards is where uh, I I mean realistically it feels like the Iraq War, um, in a lot of senses where we can go in, we can put boots in the ground, and we can potentially put a stop to this. This is a pretty big red candle. Um, or we could try to put a stop to this, but that seems like something that's going to get dragged out, take lots of years, and not really ever reach a full solution, which I think Iran knows, and they can just keep prolonging it until we end up like Iraq, Afghanistan, where now the Taliban is in control, and essentially they feel like they won, because they were able to hold us off for long enough that we just withdrew troops, and it is what it is. Um, Iran, I believe, is trying to do essentially the same thing. We will see if it plays out any differently. Um, People always say history repeats itself, so that makes me a little cautious that this could drag on for a lot longer, and maybe that's what's causing this massive downside move early on in the markets here. Is other people are thinking the same thing, that this is far from over. A 2 week ceasefire is just a temporary hold on what could be a 2 year, 6 year ordeal. Um, so a lot of unknown here. But again, any positive news that comes out of the government, Trump, the Fed, anything like that, that's really what's driving the market right now. We got a lot of macro context to keep in mind here. Um, and I mean, overall, looking at it, if we zoom out even further here on the daily chart on NQ, which was our previous leader, we're making a little bit of a recovery here. I mean, it's a nice breakout on the daily. We're hitting some resistance that all throughout early 2026 in February we did not want to cleanly break up and above. So makes sense. We'll probably hit some resistance here. Honestly, probably some more consolidation within this zone right here is what I would expect for, unfortunately, the next 2 weeks until we get some more news. I'm assuming that that's going to be condensed. I'm pretty sure we'll have news prior to um, that 2 week ceasefire ending. Hopefully, some news coming out of whatever talks Iran and the U.S. have between now and then. But again, ES has got a little bit more to claim. I would say it could pull up into here and continue consolidating within this range. But probably not breaking up above 7,000 anytime before we get more positive news. If we get more positive news, all that's off the table, and we'll probably push back up towards these highs. Um, but for the time being, I don't think we're going to test those. I think we're going to go back into some consolidation here. Maybe even pull back a little further if any negative news comes. But while we're watching this, we'll pull back up our 15. 15 fired a sell signal on that last candle, which makes sense. Now I kind of just want to watch and see. I'm going to switch back over to my micros just to see. Let's watch to see if we see any trade setups come up here. I'm going to leave that support line there. That line can go away. I would like to see a little bit of a bounce here, which I'm starting to see. We're going to go smaller time frame, start seeing potential injuries. Getting a lot of wicks right here. This trade's a little early for us. It's only 9:46, but I'm liking what I'm seeing. I got sell signals on the 15-minute chart. We're going to watch this 3-minute. We got resistance up through here. And we got the moving averages coming in with it, so I like this setup a lot. I want to see if we can just get a little bit of continuation on this downside and see if I can capture any of it. Go ahead and put my stop loss in there, and we'll calculate exactly how much we're losing. That's a little too high. That would be perfect if we can just leave it there. It's still a little high for our stop loss, but we'll leave it there. If it gets triggered, that's a pretty big move to the upside. But we'll probably either not have to trigger that, or we'll manually trigger it a little bit early. Just because that's about $40 too high. But again, we already hit a nice trade last night. We can be a little bit looser with this stop, especially since we're trading early in the morning, to see if we can catch some more of this downside. I mean, 15-minute had a clear signal of sell. We've got plenty of resistance. 3-minute already looked like it was starting to reject with these wicks we're getting. Now we just want to see a nice rejection on this 5. We got a little bit of higher volume here, which is concerning. Again, this could be a little bit of a forced trade if I was journaling, because it is earlier than what I normally like to trade. I like to have given it another 5-10 minutes. But again, you see a good trade setup. You see the sell algo firing. You see some resistance starting to come, and you enter the trade, and we're up 140, $150. Ideally, we had a good night last night. We get in here, we hit a nice early trade within the first 30 minutes of market open. When we get a lot of movement, we could potentially hit this for another 500 to 1,000 ideally, and call it a day. Again, if anybody is just joining, as you can see, we're in a trade, waiting for that to set up. If you are on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, any of those places watching us live, again, I may not see your messages, so if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything, swing on over to our YouTube channel. It's just Market Insights Trading Trends. You can search that on YouTube, and it will take you right to our live. You can hop in the chat there and submit any questions, and I will be sure that I see them there. This trade is looking like it wants to play out pretty well. Again, 5 minute candle closed. We had more buy volume, but we're already pushing back lower. What we need to figure out now is what our targets to the downside are going to be. Really like to see continuation on the downside on this candle and on a 3 minute chart here. 3 minute charts where we're going to see it first, so I'm going to keep that up. There's 200. I'm going to want to sell half of these, or I guess close half the position. Yeah, right there is good. That's going to be our first quick take profit. There's $500 already, 600. Yeah, we're dropping. And we're going to set them right there for now. Those are good spots to take our profit off the table. But again, if you're just joining us, we are not even 30 minutes into open, probably about, I would say, 15 minutes into being live and having the chart up and talking through it here. And we're already up $652. Ideally, I'm probably just going to go ahead and move our stop down here. I'm going to keep it up here for now. We'll make it a little closer, but I'm going to keep it above just to make sure something crazy doesn't happen and we lose our profit here, because we hit a max of 700 right there. We're dropping pretty strong. I'm not sure exactly what's causing this drop, but it's a fairly good move with a good bit of volume. So we're just gonna let this one keep rolling. I mean, our 5 minutes showing good confirmation. We got 2 minutes on the close. If we close somewhere down here, that should set us up for the next leg lower. 3 minute, 53 seconds on it. A close down here would be great. Closing above 570-ish, I think, would put us in that. Yeah, right in that target range of close. So we're just gonna watch this now, see if we close there. But nothing to do here except for sit back and watch the trade play out and see if we can hit all of our take profit points here and, you know, end out this day quickly and easily. Again, if you are just joining, have any questions, comments, concerns, if you're in the chat and you send a message and you're wondering why I haven't said anything about it, go to our YouTube channel, Market Insights Trading Trends. You can find it, just search it in the search bar. It'll come right up. You'll see our live. Send your question in there and I will get to it, because it's looking like we're gonna probably take profit on this trade and call it a day pretty quickly here. So this live may end quickly within the next 15-30 minutes if we don't get any traction on question and answer and we close out this trade and call it a day. That's the beauty of trading. Some days we'll get on here and we'll be live for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and maybe not hit anything. Some days I can get on here and within the first 30 minutes we hit for anywhere from 500 to 1,000, and that's a good day, and we call it there. We are trading today currently live on our account for strictly just for live trading. So this is our account that we have been using for all of our live trading sessions just to track everything, and we are ideally going to take this from being a test prop account where we're in a challenge. There we go. We just closed out half our position. Half our position for a little over $400 right there. That puts us in guaranteed profit. Now, as long as I close out these last four for at least 100, that's a guaranteed 100 or $500 day. And I'm not going to complain about that any day of the week. I'll take $500 a day every single day if you gave me the chance. So we're happy about that. We're going to let this keep rocking and rolling. We got our guaranteed profit. I think this one's going to get hit. And ideally, we can go down and hit this too. We will see. We will see what that looks like as far as profit. Give me 1 second. So at this point, we'll take another 260 off, and at that point, we would take another 315-ish. So that's another 500 there. We got 500 guaranteed. That's nearly 1,000 in a day. So how we're actually just going to manage this a little bit better. Cut at 75. And we're going to move that just to a 1. Now, if we hit all of these, we'll have one singular runner left. So far, this is a pretty big move, and I don't know if it's a pullback into consolidation or just a pullback in general on the hourly chart. It could be a lot of things that could really even go further than these take profit points we have here. But I mean, a move from up here in the 20s, 20-point move down to, 6,800. That's a 20-point move. That's a fairly big move, especially to catch within less than 30 minutes of market open. So we just want to make sure that if the move continues, we can continue profiting a little bit. This could be one that we just let that last singular one little contract run the rest of the day, and it pays us whatever at the end of the day if this keeps dropping down. But again, like I said, we've been live for about 20 minutes now, looking at my clock, and we're already in guaranteed profit. We've already made, $500 on the day. Doesn't get better than that. It's way better than, trading a whole 8-hour day to try and make some money. So again, this is why I talk about trading. There's so many great upsides to it, but it all comes from being disciplined and sticking with the process and not going against your system. There's a lot that goes into it, but when you see it play out like this, it may look easy, but it's definitely not. There's been multiple days last week, this week, that were not good trading days. I think last week I traded on Wednesday and Friday, and both of those were losing days. I think Friday I lost about 500, and Wednesday was smaller at like less than 200. So overall, like 700 that I had lost in the past two trading sessions, and they were just singular. On Wednesday, one singular trade didn't play out, got stuck in consolidation, and lost a little bit of money there. Friday, we kind of pushed and rushed into a setup trying to make back our losses from Wednesday, and fell into the typical revenge trade trap. And the only reason I know this is because I'm journaling it and I'm tracking my habits and tracking what I do. The only way to know how to trade better is to learn from your mistakes, and those mistakes in the market are going to cost you. Whether they cost you and you learn something, or they cost you and you don't learn anything, is up to you. And I will tell you that if they cost you and you learn something, hopefully it won't cost you again. If you don't learn, you're probably just going to make the same mistake over and over again. And that's why we preach trading, or trading with a journal. It helps you be disciplined, helps you adhere to your rules and see where you're making your mistakes, so that you can improve on them. So today, I normally wouldn't have taken this setup, and like I said, if I was journaling, I could have said I rushed it, but we were seeing a setup that we would trade any other time if it wasn't right at market open, and we were pushing closer to 10, so I went ahead and said, we'll lean into this one, and we'll see how it plays out. And, we did that. I'll have to journal this. I'll have to, mention that I did consider the fact that maybe I was rushing into the trade, and we can review that. But again, end of the day, when I validate my setup and I show that I have an A or an A plus or an A minus setup, it's most likely, going to show in my journal that I should just take that trade no matter what outside factors are coming into play, such as the timing of the market and things like that. But again, wouldn't know that unless I journal. If you're a new trader or a trader who doesn't have a good journal, we did just release one on Etsy. It's a complete Google Sheet Excel dashboard. I can actually probably pull it up once we get out of this trade really quick, but it's pretty simple. You input all of your information on it. You put in your trades. You can put in your emotional state, and all the other stuff that's calculated for you. So you put in your entry and your exit on the trade and how many contracts you had, and it'll automatically calculate your profit and loss, your risk to reward, etc. Um, we have a pre-market checklist built into there. We have a risk calculator. So if you are unsure how many contracts you should put up, or you're not trading on TradingView, where you can do the um, nice little brackets where it shows you how much you would be risking, how much you can profit, etc. If you don't have that, you want to make sure you're at least calculating how much you're risking, and you can easily do that in our risk calculator that is in the trading dashboard um, that we have now on Etsy. But again, I think the number one thing for it is just journaling. You can put all of your trades in there, whether it's futures, options, stocks, whatever it may be. You can log them in there, and it will track everything with an auto reset where it takes your journal data and moves it over to your monthly summary for you. And then you'll be able to track also in your monthly summary your overall performance to make sure that you're getting better month over month. And if you can, just slightly better, if you go from, you lost $200 one month, you lost 100 the next month, to then the next month after that you break even, seeing that, tracking that, knowing that lets you know that you're on the right path to being a consistently profitable trader, which I'm assuming is what everybody wants. Again, we're just watching this trade. I mean, realistically, now we're at about 10:02. This is another great trade I would potentially look to take. If we could get this 5 to come up and touch like right here, I'd probably short again. But since we're already in one, the 3-minute is basically flagging up with dying volume. We got wicks to the top side. Is this looking like it's going to want to continue going lower? So all we're going to do is we're going to hold on and hope that we continue down lower to the downside, just because we are already in profit and this all seems to be pushing lower. We're going to go ahead and move our stop down there. This puts us in guaranteed profit. We have a green trade now. We're not going to let this go negative. We have already taken about $400 off the board and locked that in our account as profit. Now by moving the stop down here, we can't lose money. We'll have 400 in profit plus whatever little bit this adds on it. This should get us close to about our 500 a day goal. Let me just see. It should maybe be like another like $50 or so. Yeah, $30. So we'd be at like $445 total, which is about $60 off of our goal of a minimum of $500 a day. So we're not upset about that. I'll take that over a losing day, and I'll take that over a $200 day. Ideally, we continue down lower, and this is closer to $1,000 a day. But we don't want to deal with predicting what the market's going to do. We want to get in our setup, get it in profit like we are now, and then manage it to where we guarantee we make money. As much as I'd like to move my stop up and say, yeah, this is going to keep going, and it probably will at some point, I don't want to get stuck in consolidation. I don't want to be stuck here watching my chart for the next 6 hours waiting for it to finally hit these take profits. If we don't get that move now, if we don't get the good continuation, if it's not a clean trade, we're just going to get out of it and call it a day there. Everybody has more important things they can go do. Make your money, get out, and go enjoy the benefits of making your money in the market and making your money fast. Again, if anybody's watching this live and you're just clicking into it or tuning in, or maybe you're watching a recap and you're wondering who I am and what makes me, qualified to sit here and live trade. I've been trading for about 10 years now, and I run a newsletter called Market Insights and Trading Trends, where every week I publish a weekly newsletter that gives people stocks, trade ideas, we go over futures, um, and essentially we'll give out each edition runs down like this. We have our intro where we'll talk about a lot of macro context. Then we'll go over our trade recap from the previous week. I want to be completely transparent and clear. We review every trade, whether it hit a stop, whether it hit our target, or whether it's still just consolidating in between. I mean, each edition's a week apart, so not every play is going to profit in a week. Our goal is to have them profit within that week or at least near target one. But again, if you're in the market, you know that's not how it's going to happen every single week. It doesn't always move that slow or move that smoothly and that fast. Sometimes we have to be patient. Sometimes we have to wait. So we update you at least that first week. And then if you want continuing updates, you can just follow along on Collective 2, where we live trade everything. And you can see exactly what we're trading, how we're trading. A lot of it is options trading just because we try and make it reasonable for everyone to follow the trades. And for most stocks, price wise, that's gonna fall in the option range where we can pick a price that's near our target one or target two in our trade idea. And if the stock gets close to there, we're going to profit. And a lot of times those options are going to cost around, 100 to 150 bucks total. Most people can afford to put 100 to 150 bucks towards a play or towards multiple plays a week. So that's why we decided to keep it in that range. You'll see all of that on Collective 2. We have been consistently tracking it for about, probably just about or over a year now. And we are consistently profitable. We are consistently beating the S&P 500. We're not at the top of the list, and we're not exactly where we want to be. But every week we get better. Our picks get better. Our analysis is getting more and more fine tuned. And the backstory behind all of this is, like I said, I've been trading for 10 years, and I spend hours each week researching stocks. And I also have a network of, nearly hundreds of traders who are professionals who do this as a living. Some of them, ones who I've seen make, hundreds of thousands to millions in a day on the stock market. And I get information from all these different sources, and I have a bunch of ideas that are presented to me in trades and stocks to look for or look out for. And so instead of keeping all that knowledge to myself, I figured, why not take all the knowledge, all the research that I already do, package it a little bit nicer, make it a little bit easier for me to, one, read, understand, and find trades from. And if I'm going to do that, might as well just publish it. And if anybody else wants to read it and get the same research and get the same insights and profit from it the same way that I do, why not? I'm already doing the research. It's all already there. No reason just to keep it on my computer to see. Give me 1 second. Okay, I believe you guys can still hear me, so we're going to keep talking through this, just having a little bit of trouble with my camera. Okay, for the time being, we are going to have to leave the camera how it is until I can figure out how to switch it back. We just had it switch from the camera we were on to a different one. Not sure exactly why. You may see the live go down, come back up. That's how we have to fix this. But for the time being, I'm going to keep talking through how we were talking about the newsletter, Market Insights and Trading Trends. Again, just taking all the knowledge that I was already using, creating, and publishing it out for other people to read, use, understand, and trade with. So we go through our recap, and then I will give a weekly kind of insight. Usually I try and based off what the market is doing, what we're seeing. Last week we were talking about how macro context was really running everything, and those Iran war headlines were what the market was waiting for, and what they were watching for. And again, we saw it today, or yesterday, last night. Ceasefire came out, and market started ripping up. So that's uh that's why we provide those insights, and in that I provide knowledge on what I'm looking for as far as a macro context, and different ways you can trade it, how you can be prepared for moves on either side. And then we move into our trade ideas. And every week there are currently 2 free trade ideas that is given out to everyone. Anybody who wants to read can get those, can see those, and trade them along with us. And then for our paid subscribers only, we do 3 additional trade ideas. Those are usually our top picks for the week, and are obviously going to ideally perform a little better. Um, we usually rank each trade idea, and we leave the best ones obviously for our paid subscribers. So if you aren't a paid subscriber, it's definitely worth it. We have a little free trial that we offer as well. You can give it a try, see what those trade ideas are like, see if you like it. And then additionally, after that, we have our ES and NQ levels that we give out weekly. And this is further than just, you know, there's support at this level and resistance to this level, and the daily high is going to act as resistance. It's not simple things like that. I break it down into a bearish and a bullish setup, where I will let you know if ES and NQ break through this level, I'm going to be taking a short targeting this level. Or if this happens and ES and NQ push up through this level and break this resistance, I'm going to look forward to go hit this resistance next. So I make it as clear and as simple as I can how to trade it, and exactly how I'm going to trade it when things happen in the market. Um, so more than just the levels for you to put on your chart and look at and understand, it's complete trade analysis and complete breakdown of how I would day trade, or how I would even swing trade futures as we break through and touch different levels. So if you're a trader, I find that that's super helpful. Knowing your daily resistance, support levels, all the stuff you're looking at, daily, monthly, weekly charts, all of it can be really helpful when you're mapping out trades and trying to see where you're going to put your take profits and your stop losses. So again, like you saw, we took profit down here at this level, right where we bounced at, and that was because in my newsletter I knew that this would be a fairly good level of support. So we want to make sure we take some off the table here, so if we bounce up, we're not in a full position waiting for the next leg down. Now we only have half our position. We're in guaranteed profit, and we can wait to see if that support's going to be enough to push us higher, or if we're going to break down past it and lower. Okay. Still messing with our camera a little bit here. Looking at the chart here, don't like how we have such a large wick here, pushing this up. Just want to let everybody know we are going to quickly stop the live right here. We're about 40 minutes in. So you're going to see it go offline for a second. We're going to pop it right back up as soon as we get this camera back up and running. But just a quick restart. We'll be right back. Give us, 30 seconds, maybe a minute. And I will update you with where this trade goes. Looking like we might have to close a little early with these wicks, but we're about to find out. We'll be right back.